Hi there. I am setting up the journal to use in the English course. Notice that I am at the Google Docs website. That's docs.google.com. From here, I'm going to start a new document. I have a list of templates here, but I just want a blank one. So where it says blank and you see the plus mark, I'm going to click that and start a brand new document. So the thing with this document is right now it does not have a title. That means later on it's going to be hard to find this in my list of documents. So because it's a journal, I have the format from the instructions to title this my last name, comma, first name, and then the word journal. Notice all I had to do to change the title was to click on the space where the title was before, start typing, and when I click away, notice that the title has been updated, and you also see that title in the tab up above. So now I have a titled document. The next thing on my list is to insert a table of contents. A table of contents is a way to organize multiple entries in a document. We're going to organize it because later on, this is going to have a lot of entries in it, and the table of contents will help you find specific ones. In order to insert the table of contents, I'm going to go to the Insert menu. Way down at the bottom, you see Table of Contents. And when I mouse over, you see these two different options. One is to add a table of contents with page numbers. The other is to add a table of contents with these links. Links are going to be much more helpful here because all you have to do is click on them to go to your entry. We don't really care what page it's on. So I'm going to click the one with the blue links and notice how this box has appeared. Right now, this box is not useful because there are no headings, which we'll talk about momentarily, in order to show up in this table of contents. So right now, it doesn't look like much, but notice that when I click outside of it, I don't see the box. When I click in it, I do see the box along with this button. It looks like an arrow going in a circle. It's the button to update this table of contents. Now, pay attention to that. We'll be coming back to that later after we add our first entry. But let's do that first and we'll come on back to this. So every entry is going to need a certain type of title, and that title has a name. It's called a heading. So a heading is a specially formatted piece of text. It's usually a little bit bigger with bigger spacing. Think of it kind of like the title up at the top of a page, and it is what's going to show up in your table of contents. So looking back in the instructions, there's a format for the title. Every day that you have a journal entry, you're typing in that day as the heading. The format is the day of the week, comma, the month, and then the date. For example, Monday, September 11th. But this is a heading, which means it's not a normal piece of text. I don't want this to say normal text right here when I'm looking at the style of this date. I want it to be a heading. So if I highlight that text that I just typed, and where I see the style menu right here, I drop down. Instead of normal text, I could select a heading. I'm going to select heading 2 because it's not too big or not too small. Once I click on it, notice how this text looks differently. Not only is it bigger, there's a little bit more space on the bottom, a lot more space on the top. So when I hit enter, I go back to normal text, like always, and I can type my entry in response to the prompt just like I normally would. But notice that I now have a heading. So if I go back to the table of contents, I can click this update button and watch what happens. I now have a link, and the link takes me, well, to what we're already looking at, the date for today, Monday, September 11th. But every time I create an entry, I'm going to create another one of these headings with the new date. And every time you hit update right here, it'll add it to the table of contents. This table of contents will soon list every day that you've written a journal entry for the whole year. So, 2 things to remember every time you're writing a journal entry. Create a new heading with today's date on it, just like you did before. You could always use heading 2 if that's nice and easy for you. And then the other thing to remember is to periodically update this table of contents so that new headings show up on there. Remember, by the end of the week on Friday, before you submit the journal, you want to make sure this looks pretty cleaned up the way you'd like to present it. All right, that's it for the journal. Have fun writing.